Curve Servers, Episode 4. The boys had just got Dougie, just got fresh. We ain't been fresh in a while. When I say we, I'm really talking about like me and Wino. Because Danny Boy, he's always had like his daddy in his life. So he was all right. But for us, oh no, this was a moment. When I say we got Dougie, we got some clothes. That just means that Batman got us a pair of pants, a pair of shoes, and 2 pairs of shirts. Yeah, but to us, that was everything. We was Dougie. Before we went back to the big house, this is how we started getting our first major warnings to how you moving. The homie Maze walked up. Now, Maze, he's Wino's, and he's all of our, like, within our little circle, our big homie. You know, the guy we look up to. He might have only been like 15, 16, something like that. But Maze was, who we kind of look up to. One of the guys. Maze was like giving us dire warning, especially Wino. Because Wino and Maze was tight. Me and Maze was cool, but Wino and Maze was really tight. Like, Wino was Maze's number one guy. He was like, under his wing. This is why Wino was claiming Great. Because he was always hanging with Maze, and Maze was from Great. Because his cousin was Shoat Dog. Maze is putting the pressure on Wino. He's like, hey, you fucking around over there with those Jamaicans and shit. You need to be careful. Shit can start getting real. Now, while Maze was talking about this to Wino, Wino was explaining how comfortable we were getting over there working in the big house, how we was getting to know some of the different Jamaicans. And along with that, there was like, of course, different Jamaican female relatives or friends of their family that was, noticing us. And some maybe I would even say flirting with us, being cool with us. This is when Maze started giving red flag warnings. He was like, listen, be careful, man. This is a different culture over there, man. You don't know who else is dealing with or liking one of those girls, and you don't want to get shot. Yeah, you don't want no Jamaican gangster to walk in there and shoot you. Going to work back in the big house on weekends for the next few weeks, we was a little nervous. We was watching our steps. We was watching our boundaries because we did not know who we were crossing just by having conversation with who. The English in this household was broken at best. Yeah, they all spoke Jamaican. And they got a little English. Most of the shit they saying you can't understand. You just got some base understanding. The nigga we knew, yeah, he had a little more English. This is why we was able to deal with him. But most of the regular guys coming through, man, they didn't even attempt. They looked at us like we was crazy half the time, that we spoke English. That's the kind of situation it was. We'll get back to some of the dealings inside the big house in future episodes. We're a little nervous at the big house, so we leave the big house. The stage is just too big. Let's be honest, the stage is too big. Wino, Danny Boy, and I'm following them. I don't have no decision making in this process. We make a decision to leave the big house and go back to the block for safety reasons. But now we stuck on the block with this game and we back poor with nothing to do. All we have is these stories. Enters the homie Dirtbike. Dirtbike was hearing about the rumors of what was going on. Dirtbike also was from the El Tikis, right? And he knew people over here and had family over here because Dirtbike and Maze were related. Dirtbike came on the scene. What's going on here? I hear about you guys moving around with these Jamaican gangsters. We tell him about what was going on. Then he says, well, listen, well, be careful. And my suggestion to you is not to go back over there to that house because it can get dangerous and shit can happen to you young fellas. So Dirtbike went back on his way. Now, Dirtbike, he was known as a hustler from Watts. At this time, he was kind of doing what he was doing, moving in and out of Bakersfield, coming back to Los Angeles. Kind of hanging on the block a little bit, but sporadically because he was in the El Tikis and moving back to Bakersfield. So then Wino says, man, I got to get me a sack because I'm not going to sit around here broke. I got to figure something out. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get some money. So I say, nah, I can't do it right now. You know, because to be honest with you, it's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people that we grew up on these blocks with, up and down these blocks, that know us from young kids, and they're we don't want to lose the respect of the parents around the community because they're looking at us like, are you guys? What's going on? Are you guys in the paint? And we're still toting this line of being a child or a bad teenager. You know, we're on that bubble line. We're on both sides of the fence. But Wino's already decided, no, I'm going to be the bad teenager. I'm done with this. I want a sack. Now, like I said, Danny Boy had his daddy in his life. So he had a little bit, although he didn't live with his daddy, you know, came through and dropped a little bread on him and shit. Made sure he had clean clothes. You know what I'm saying? He had a cool little daddy. So he wasn't in a rush to get a sack. He was a little bit more excited to get out of that situation. I definitely didn't want a sack at this point. I was trying to play this role that I was just along for the ride. You know, I'm that kid. I'm just along for the ride. I wasn't even doing nothing in the drug house. I was just there, just watching them. You know, I'm just chilling. You know, I really don't want no part of that lifestyle. Them are the lines I'm selling to the people that's asking me questions. That's like, hey, check this out. What I'm hearing about you doing this over there. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm just hanging. You know, ain't nothing like that. Nah. All right. Be careful how you moving, youngster. All right. All right. I appreciate you, big dog. You know, because there was certain guys that was worried about me. We're going to talk about some of them guys too later. We're going to talk about Slick, Ben, my homeboy Jamsky. Yeah, we got some names we're going to bring through. We're sitting on the block, and the game throughout Los Angeles County is starting to ripple. On the major street, the boulevard, you can see crackheads. So now Wino is like, I have to get a sack. So Wino gets a sack. And he's the first person I saw on the block pushing crack. Dirtbike comes back. I mean, within a week, a few days of this, and he hears the rumors. There's certain parents that's gossiping to other parents saying, hey, that youngster over there, he's walking around on them corners and he's selling crack. But after a few days of this, Dirtbike, he's on Wino head. He's like, hey, what's going on, man? I heard you over here moving like a big dog. I was over there doing my thing. And you know, it got a little weird over there, so yeah. I'm over here now. So Dirtbike say, damn, all right. This is the beginning on how the Curve servers started. Dirtbike comes back, kind of puts his hustle down. Now he's an older teenager, well-seasoned hustler. He has Wino underneath his wing. Maze, he decides to go to Bakersfield full time. for reasons we won't get into in these videos. No longer is Maze Wino #1 big homie. Maze is gone, moved to Bakersfield. Now, Dirt Bike is Wino's #1 big homie. And also, Danny Boy, with me, lurking in the wings. You know, he wasn't too excited about having me in his circle when they was doing whatever they was planning on doing about selling crack. Because he knew my family and he knew me, and he was like, listen, hey, come here. You too young, little homie. You can't be fucking around over here with us. You got to sit down there. Of course, I was heartbroken. I'm like, Dirt Bike, what you talking about? I was in the same Jamaican crack houses with them. What you mean? At this point, I wasn't even selling anything. I was just offended that he told me I couldn't be part of the crew. He said, man, you don't care who let you do what. You're too young. I was heartbroken. I got to move down the block. I can't sit over here because now Wino is accepted with the older teenagers. He's hanging out with older teenagers. The older teenagers, the other teenagers, they're not really selling crack yet, but they're all getting this understanding that Dirt Bike is going to put this hustle down. As time go by, weeks, maybe a month, there are clients starting to come over towards this boulevard because of the work of Wino and Dirt Bike. There's clients starting to venture away because on the major boulevard, oh, there's all kind of motels and clientele and all kind of things going on. But now we're starting to attract some people to come this way. I'm seeing it. Other people are seeing it. But nobody's really jumping out there in the game yet. One of my friend's parents said to me, I see you hanging around them older kids sometime. You don't have to go do all that. You can stay broke and starving and just go to school and do the best you can, and you're going to be just all right. And she motivated me to want to turn my back on the crew and just focus on school and to avoid the lure of this block, this excitement that's starting to bubble. To be honest with you, I was already far too deep socially, and I couldn't turn back now. I went to Dirt Bike one more time. This may be about 2-3 weeks. They starting to get the block. It ain't popping, but it's starting to get active. I say, hey, Dirt Bike, I want in. And you're too young, maybe in a year or so. You're too young. You're too young. Once again, I'm heartbroken. One of the older homegirls, her dude, he was from Eastside Piru. He was from Ludus Park. This guy's name was Big Power. This nigga Big Power, you know, he's known us for years, watched us. In my eagerness, I walked down to Big Power spot. Now, Big Power stayed about a block up the street. So I walked down there, I knock on Big Power door. Big Power opened the door, he looked at me. He said, hey, what's up? I said, hey, Big Power. He said, what's up, my little nigga? Talk to me. What's going on? Somebody fucking with you? I said, no, nothing like that. I need to get a 25 double up. He looked at me so strange. He stepped out the door and he looked to the left, to the right, like he was looking for the police. He said, what you say to me, boy? I said, I need a 25 double up. He said, man, you too young, man. I'm not giving you nothing, man. What you talking about, man? I said, man, come on, man. You know I've been working in them little trap houses for the Jamaicans. It's too hot over there, man. It's dangerous. So I tried to get a Dirt Bike. Dirt Bike told me I'm too young. But I'm looking at him like, bro, I'm already moving. I'm already working. I'm already knee deep. I'm pleading my case to Big Power. He says, damn. You really with it, huh? He said, I could see the fire in your eyes. I'm poor, man. We don't have nothing. From all that work I did, all I got left is $25. That's it. A pair of shoes, a pair of jeans, and a couple of shirts. He says, all right, I tell you what, I'm going to do this for you. But this come out your mouth. That I gave your young ass this, my fire dimmed a little bit. Because this was a real certified dude. I said, come on, big power. I won't let you down. He said, all right, I'm going to fuck with you. I'm on. I got my first sack that I bought with my own money, and I'm finna hit the block. And nobody know where I got it from. See, back then, where you got your sack from, keeping it a secret, was everything. Because I didn't quite know where Wino, Dirt Bike, was getting their sack from. I'm on the block now. I got a 25 double up and don't nobody know it. This is the end of episode 4 of Curve Surfers.